Welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone Podcast with KOMO Sports Director Niko Tamurian and Najee Moye.
How's it going, and welcome to the KOMO Sports End Zone. I'm Niko Tamurian, joined as always by my partner in crime, Najee Moye. Najee, first place Seahawks.
First place Seahawks. We've said that a couple times this year already.
But it's like the worst division, but we'll take it.
We'll take it. I mean, honestly, it was a fun game. It was a fun game to see everyone at Lumen Field just on their feet, defense leading the charge against a division opponent. Kobe Bryant, love that.
Kobe Quake.
Kobe Quake. Yeah, you did a couple of stories about that.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant's pick six set off a small earthquake at Lumen Field. Not quite like Beast Quake with Marshawn Lynch in 2011.
Did the same celly as Marshawn Lynch.
Like it's all
there's duality there. There's duality there. I like that. Yeah, no, it was a fun game. We said a couple of keys to the Cardinals game is to make sure Kyler Murray doesn't scoot around like a baby in the pocket. You know, the defense shut him down, and this is maybe what we can expect going forward from the Seahawks. I believe it.
That is the hope. There's a lot of reason to maybe believe that. You know, you've got some new personnel in Ernest Jones.
Yeah.
As Mike McDonald has said often, you have this team kind of clicking now. Maybe it took 2 months for all these new coaches and to a certain extent new players to get things rolling, and we're going to find out for sure if they can get 3 in a row. Traveling out east, which Mike McDonald laments, but traveling out east to take on the New York Jets. So without further ado, I want to bring in one of my great friends, not just in this business, but in general, the great Kevin Maher from News 12 Long Island. There's Kevin.
How
you doing, Kev?
Hi, everybody. Hi from the East Coast. We look forward to having the Seahawks.
Yeah, it is. It can be rare. I know we had the Jets out here a couple of years ago. When the Bills came out here, it was the first time in 8 years they had been in Seattle, so it can be a little rare. So we appreciate your expertise because we kind of just see the periphery. I mean, of course, who doesn't know about, obviously the coaching change there with, obviously Aaron Rodgers at the helm. Najee's shaking his head. Kevin, what's going on with the Jets this
We're
year?
Confused. I don't know what to make of this team, really.
Yeah, well, welcome to the good times. And Niko's nice. He just mentioned the coaching change. He forgot about the general manager change, the offensive coordinator change, and possibly a quarterback change depending upon how things go, although Aaron Rodgers said today that he will stick it out for the remainder of this season. The breaking news today, him saying he doesn't know if he'll play next season. If he does, he says he prefers to be in New York, but we'll see. But yeah, this team's a mess. It's an absolute mess. They went all in on Aaron Rodgers, and it just has not worked, and people have paid the price. Aaron Rodgers hasn't paid the price yet, but the people that brought him in, the people that said, this is our guy, this is the guy that's going to lead us finally to the promised land that these fans have been waiting for, and it just didn't work. They put their saddle right on Aaron Rodgers, and he bucked them all right off, unfortunately. Got injured last year, but this year this team's a mess.
On offense, though, this is still Aaron Rodgers. I mean, and if you look on paper, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, yes, but the record is what it is. What if you're a Seahawks fan looking to watch this game on Sunday, what can you really just expect from the Jets this weekend?
I don't know what you can expect because right now Aaron Rodgers is dealing with injuries. He fully admits it. And today he said, look, it will take a serious injury for me to go on IR, but he's had a few. He's old. They're still trying to figure this out, right? They had one offensive coordinator. They demoted him, bring in another one now. And this is a guy that doesn't have much experience. And the new offensive coordinator is not one of Aaron Rodgers' guys, which we kept on hearing. That was Nathaniel Hackett. He's been demoted. I don't know. You've got a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers playing behind a beat-up offensive line, trying to get the ball to Garrett Wilson, trying to get the ball to Devontae Adams, and Breece Hall, a running back who has shown flashes but hasn't lived up to the potential. You see it every once in a while, but then you get a bad game from him. What can you expect to see? Look, it is Aaron Rodgers. And I think Rodgers is a proud quarterback. He wants to play well. He really wants this team to finish on as much of a positive note as it can be. To me, I think you got to let him air it out. But he's injured. If you're the Seahawks, I'm blitzing him as much as I can. I'm attacking him as much as I can. Don't give him time to throw the ball because when he has that, he can be effective. You take that away, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be effective.
Well, you got me thinking about how the Seahawks have really utilized their second year, last year's first-round pick, Devin Witherspoon. I mean, this guy is all over the field. The key play, you heard us talking a minute ago about Kobe Bryant getting a pick six. who's named after the basketball player. I'll point that out. But Devin, it was him tracking down the great Kyler Murray that forced that play. So the Seahawks are going to be aggressive in that way. Kevin, you touched on something a minute ago, that there are still weapons. It is still Aaron Rodgers. Just because they're limping, so to speak, this is still a team. This is still the NFL. This is still a dangerous team if things click, right?
Yes, if things click. And also, I think you get to the point, Niko, when you have the Jets record, right, just 3 wins, you're kind of in the dog days of the season now. You've seen nothing but team turmoil here. You've lost the coach that you all wanted to play for, right? And Jeff Ulbrich has come in, done a very nice job as best as he can, but clearly the evidence says this guy's not a head coach. He's a great defensive coordinator, right? But now you give him all these other duties, and he seems to be a little bit lost. Maybe he can't handle doing everything all at once. So the coach you wanted to play for is gone. The general manager you wanted to play for is gone. I would think there's got to be a little bit into the mindset of some of these players of, well, what the hell am I playing for then? Right? I mean, there's got to be that. And Sauce Gardner, you talk about guys that, where have you gone? Sauce Gardner, can we get an interception? I mean, that would be nice. And that's what I think Jet fans around here keep hanging their hats on. Like, oh, Garrett Wilson, that draft pick worked out. Sauce Gardner, rookie of the year. We got 2 rookies of the year. We have Aaron Rodgers. How come this is not working? And that's the big question. How come it hasn't worked?
That was my question. You mentioned Sauce Gardner. I was going to mention, we talk about Geno Smith. He's leading the Seahawks. Yes, he has 12 touchdowns and a lot of passing yards. He also has 12 picks as well. A couple years ago, maybe about a year ago, this Jets team was known for their defense first. What exactly is going on that side of the ball?
You lost Robert Saleh, right? Remember when the Jets brought in Robert Saleh to be the head coach, number one, he was a primary hot coaching candidate, had multiple jobs that interviewed him, and was a defensive coordinator out west with the San Francisco 49ers. The guy knew. The guy had a great defense. Go look at his teams and look at where the Jets were. Top 10 in defense. And you lose this guy. Well, something's going to change, and I think you can clearly see that they're a little bit lost. They got to get pressure on the quarterback. They're not doing that all too well, and they're giving up some big plays, which is not a trademark of a Robert Saleh defense. Like we said, Jeff Ulbrich, defensive coordinator, you're promoted to head coach. You've got to get rid of some of those duties now. You can't just focus on it. You've got to focus on everything, and that's a big problem right now for this defense.
I got to ask, and this is not specifically on this game, but certainly we've seen the revival of Geno Smith's career here in Seattle, and he's done some great things. And now she mentioned some of those numbers. At one point he was leading the league in passing, and it was a patchwork offensive line. That's certainly the Achilles heel of the Seahawks team is the offensive line, though they did play better, and they've got some reinforcements. Abe Lucas is a guy they drafted from Washington State a couple years ago, and he made his debut a couple weeks ago. But the point I'm getting at here, Kev, is I know it was forever ago, but is there any, even a small portion of Jets fans that are like, wait, where did this Geno guy come from? And Geno admits, listen, the New York days, he was a lot younger. He was not as mature. And
full respect for him for saying that, absolutely. And I think that's and look, I think we've all seen it, right? Can I go to the Giants? Look, everyone's saying Daniel Jones. People are saying, Daniel Jones, go someplace else, start over. You'll be fine. New York can eat you up. Right. And I think Geno admitted that maybe he didn't handle it the best, but there's also the problem of you're dealing with a franchise that has not had a track record of developing a quarterback. Who's the best quarterback the Jets have had since Joe Namath? You want to throw a Ken O'Brien in there?
I was just going to say Ken O'Brien, maybe?
Chad Pennington, maybe?
But Ken O'Brien, let's be honest, is best known for the guy they took when they should have taken Dan Marino. Let's be honest there. Right, Chad Pennington in there. Maybe I'll throw in a couple years with Mark Sanchez, although those were Rex Ryan defensive teams that reached the AFC Championship game. It's a problem. This team just can't get that quarterback. It just doesn't work. Poor Zach Wilson. We don't know what he's going to be, but Geno is the poster boy for good things can come. Maybe if the Jets had done better by him, maybe it would have worked. You just don't know. I don't think there's a Jet fan really that goes, oh, Geno Smith, what could have been.
Right.
But there's certainly many of them who go, boy, look at him now.
Oof.
Yeah. And I'll say this too. It's interesting in that perspective and Geno, credit where it's due. We talked about that a minute ago, but he's become a consummate leader of this team. He's the guy that's, even if something isn't really his fault, he's like, hey guys, I'm quarterback. That's on me. And certainly when things were not going that great this season here, when the Seahawks had lost a few games in a row, it was Geno saying, rallying the guys, and eventually they come out on the other side of the bye week, beat the Niners for the first time in 3 years, and then, of course, beat Arizona this past Sunday. So this is a team that's it almost feels like opposite trajectory, but we know, Kevin, the NFL, things can change just that quickly. Am I right?
Absolutely. And look, I think the Jets have to be loving the fact that they do get the Seahawks coming here. You've got to travel. That's advantage for the Jets. I mean, in terms of the weather, that's going to be a non-wash between Seattle and New York. But the Jets have to prove something. At this point, you've got to give the fans some sign of hope. And maybe this is it. Maybe, look, are the Seahawks a legitimate first-place team? You guys just said, hey, we're first place, but it's a bad division. But for the Jets, you got to be going, we got a chance to be the first-place team. Let's go. This is first place. We can put our mark. We can ruin the Seahawks' playoff chances. I don't know if they're at that point yet where they want to be spoilers, but the Jets are also one loss away from a 9th consecutive losing season.
Wow.
Brutal.
That is crazy to think. And boy, oh boy, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Mike McDonald, like I've said, he has really lamented how he has to change the schedule. It's funny, the Seahawks went from having the oldest head coach in the NFL, and Pete Carroll, who was very loose and free. And I'm not saying Mike McDonald isn't those things, but they now have the youngest head coach. He just turned 37, and he's very structured and regimented, and he doesn't like this idea of having to travel the East Coast, and he has to figure out time differences and things like that. I mean, they beat the Patriots.
And also during a holiday week where, the guys want to be home, you're trying to make that time.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And so if there was an X factor in this game, Kev, for the audience out on Long Island, I think that might be it. It's just the idea of the Seahawks having to travel, and they did it successfully, like I said, back in September with the Patriots. That was before we knew the Patriots weren't going to be that great this year, that sort of thing. But it's going to be an interesting one, Kev. I don't want to keep running off Najee here. Do you have anything else before I get to the predictions?
I just think that this is, and Kevin mentioned it, this is a great. And it's weird to say this as someone who is watching Seahawks football weekly. This could be a spoiler game for the Seahawks, because they come off those 2 good division wins, the Niners last week, the Cardinals Niners 2 weeks ago, the Cardinals last week. Going across the country to the Jets almost sounds like a trap game. The Jets need,
that's the idea, yeah.
The Jets need something to hang their hat on. So
I think the Seahawks, the key is get off to a good start, because you're going to have fans there who, look, a lot of them have checked out. Maybe I'm just the season ticket guy, and this is what we do, and it's a nice holiday weekend, and my son's home from college, so we're going to the game. But a lot of this fan base is checked out, right? They're checked out. They know this team's not making the playoffs again. You come in, you're the Seahawks. It's a tough travel. You get off to a good start. You take the crowd out of it, and then you're kind of almost playing with a little bit of house money, or at least something on your side, we should say, if you're the Seahawks.
Yeah, and I think that when you to the point you both are making here, you have that, and if the Seahawks win, you've got 3 in a row, first time since September. Depending on what happens with Arizona, the Niners, the Rams, you can extend that lead in the NFC West, and ideally a game that you should win on paper, so to speak. But if you lose it, you kind of erase some of that goodwill, and then you got the rematch with the Cardinals, then you have the Green Bay Packers coming here. So this is the kind of game that it can really determine the course here of the home stretch. Kev, before we let you go, we like to put our guests on the spots with predictions, although I feel like I know where you're going after what we talked about, but how do you see this one playing out here?
I actually think it will be a Seahawks win, but it's going to be very, very close. I don't think this is going to be an easy game for the Seahawks. I think the Jets are still playing with not a lot of pride, but they're still playing for pride, and that still means something. And I think they do know they could mess up the Seahawks season a little bit, and I think the travel, obviously not in the Seahawks' favor. So I'll go a Seahawks win, but I definitely don't think it's going to be more than 6 points.
Ooh, that's interesting. I am hoping, if we can give guesses now,
have at it.
I'm honestly hoping that this is the game where the Seahawks have to prove that they're better than the record suggests that they are. Like Kevin said, if they get off to a good start, this last week's game was kind of hard to watch offensively sometimes.
It came dangerously close to giving it away.
Exactly.
Gino's pick in the end zone, the near pick deep in his own territory. Yeah.
So I think if the Seahawks get to a running start, I think they can win by 2 touchdowns. That being said, if they get off to a running start at all, I still think the Seahawks will win 2 touchdowns.
My one thing I keep going back to, we haven't seen the Seahawks really, outside of maybe the Atlanta game, really decisively win a game. And, of course, Miami, but that was, Skylar Thompson at quarterback and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to go in the middle of you guys. I think it's going to be a 1-touchdown game. I mean, I'm not saying Kevin didn't say that, but, yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think the Seahawks win. I'll say something like 20-13 to some of that extent.
Yeah, I'm going to go 28-14.
Kev?
Let me throw one more.
Yeah.
One more X factor. If I'm Geno Smith, I take some blame for what happened in New York. but I also know the Jets also didn't do him right. And I think if Geno Smith has a chance to kick a Jets team when it's down, I think he's going to jump all over that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Kevin. He actually alluded to that when the Jets came out here a couple of years ago. On the surface, he said the right things, but you can almost see, like, reading between the words, like, yeah. And that year in particular, that was the first year as a starter, and he had beaten the Giants. He had beaten the Chargers. Again, those stints weren't nearly as known as his stint with the Jets, but he got all of his old teams, and you could tell that kind of meant something to him. So I think you're onto something there as well. I can't thank you enough for coming on with us, my friend. Thank you for the time.
Hey, thanks for the invitation, and happy Thanksgiving to both of you guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right back at you, Kevin. We look forward to seeing what goes on at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. The great Kevin Maher, thank you so much for joining us. So awesome to see. That was our Meet the Opponent segment. And my goodness, great insight from Kevin because, again, that's a team that we notice on the periphery, no question about it. We know the generals, as we were kind of saying with Kevin a minute ago. But when you really get into somebody who's at their team facility, just like we're at the VMAC all week, you kind of get a new perspective for just kind of how disarray those things are right now.
Yeah, we always kind of know. I mean, obviously the Jets being a New York market team, everything that they do is times 10, honestly.
Right.
You know, and with Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be even times 15, and him getting his boy Davante Adams, you know, and how. Honestly, I think the Jets last year could have been a Super Bowl team. Unfortunately, he got hurt like 30 seconds into the season. But he's right. Aaron Rodgers is he's 40. He's hurt. He's not running around. I think this is a great opportunity for the Seahawks defense to really. Now, I'm not projecting. We're talking about blitzing.
Yeah.
I don't think we should zero blitz Aaron Rodgers by any means at all. No, but this year may be a better chance to do that than maybe 4 years ago, obviously.
Yeah. I think that the thing we've seen with this Seahawks team to get these 2 wins in a row, and I know it's just 2 wins, but it's because
they're 2 important wins.
2 huge wins. Divisional, you hadn't beaten the Niners since 21, that sort of thing. But I think the difference is, and I'm going to be petty for a second here.
Oh, yes. I love when Niko's petty.
Yeah, I'm going to be petty for a
rare.
minute here because here's the thing, and they're probably not watching this video right now, but we do it. First and foremost, enjoy any interaction with this show. And I'm referred to the comments on YouTube. We have some great fans on there. There's one fan in particular that was defending. But there's a lot of Arizona Cardinals fans saying, oh, you guys are Seahawks fanboys. And I want to be petty on one thing in particular.
Well, look at the flag behind Niko, honestly.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean I pointed the wrong area. But here's the thing, Naj. You made a prediction, I'm paraphrasing, I think it was 17-10, or it was something low scoring like that.
Something like that.
And somebody commented like, this guy's only predicting 17-10. The over-under is 50. Newsflash. Games are not played in Las Vegas.
No.
Well, except for the Raiders. But games are not played in the sports book. Games are not played based on Mike McDonald being, oh, gee, the over-under is 50. Man, we better give up some. This is why we love giving the show for you. We're there. We give you that inside information. And so being petty that Najee was only off by a few points.
I was
4
pretty
points
good.
on the total points.
I was pretty good.
I think I said 23-14. Doesn't matter. It was the idea here was, listen, you can be a fan of your team. Nobody's ever. I mean, that's the beauty of this game. You can disagree with us, but that's the beauty of this show. If you agree with us, we like it. But if you disagree with us, that's the whole idea. Let's talk and have this debate. But the notion that just coming in as an Arizona fan being like, oh, the over-under is 50. These guys are predicting only 20-some-odd points. Well, guess what? Total points are 22.
And I do get that because the Cardinals have been playing better than
Yeah, it was
expected.
based on what you had seen. It's you're there, you're in tune, and it was based on what you saw.
And they
Spot
have been
on.
playing better than expected, but also the Seahawks defense has been playing super.
Yeah.
I mean, giving up 6 points to that Cardinals offense is actually it's a great feat, honestly. And I think if the Seahawks defense bring that same tenacity that they brought the last 2 weeks, talking about the Niners game, going back to that, against the Jets across country, I think they'll be completely fine.
Yeah, sure.
Aaron Rodgers is. I mean, we're going through another instance with another top-notch quarterback here.
Right
now, if we go looking at the rest of the season, we talk about there's a span of games that the Seahawks need to have. We've been
talking about this for a while.
We've been talking about this for a while. We need to get one of two, both those Arizona games. You need to get the Jets game definitely. Because I mean, look at the record, but I mean, you shouldn't. This is not a game they should take lying down after all.
No.
And if you look ahead. And I hate looking ahead. You got the Cardinals again right afterwards, and beating a team twice in 1 year is very difficult. Not only that, you have the Packers and the Vikings, 2 of the better teams in the NFC North, the best division in football. Sorry for the Chicago Bears. But these are games that the Seahawks need to have. They're probably peaking at the right time. The defense is. That being said, I would hate it. If Geno throws 2 more picks this game.
Yeah, Mike McDonald talked about that. He's like, hey, Geno knows he can't have that. We value the ball. And it's interesting because Geno, again, we talked about this with Kevin, like leading the NFL at one point in pass yards, despite like a patchwork offensive line in front of him. So it's interesting that we kind of are fighting this turnover bug a little bit.
Right.
But knowing Geno, knowing this matchup, and knowing the competitor, I hope he cleans it up. Before I went on my petty rant a minute ago, I think that the thing that gives me sort of the utmost confidence that this is just the beginning and this could be completely proven wrong by the time Sunday's game wraps up.
Sure.
But I just think, and we talked about this off the top of the show, that it's finally clicking defensively.
Yeah.
I think that while you had a defensive head coach before, you have a different scheme with Mike McDonald. And these things take time. We live in an instant gratification society. It's just like, if a web page doesn't open in 10 seconds for me, well, that's 10 seconds. If it doesn't open in 1 second for me, I'm freaking out.
I'm heated. We're both children of dial-up.
Yeah.
Right? If because we're both around the same.
Yes.
If I don't get a page,
I never heard it. It's great.
If we don't get a page open in 10 seconds, I'm calling IT immediately.
Yeah, and I'd say that's even too long. 10 seconds is an eternity.
10 seconds is a long time.
3 seconds.
I know. I'm being patient. I'm growing as a person.
But now you got everything's clicking, and we talked about this before. Ernest Jones coming in. I mean, he's a Seahawk in every way. He's a perfect fit for what McDonald wants to do. And, you made the point, you did a Bobby Wagner comparison. And we talked about it from the leadership standpoint. Everybody said leadership. We are in no way comparing Ernest Jones to Bobby Wagner. He'd have to be around another 12 years and win a Super Bowl and do some other great things. Well, win a Super Bowl here anyway.
Of course.
We know the Rams history. But that said, I think you're seeing this perfect storm collide. You've got the personnel. And Mike McDonald said it, there was a parallel when he first took over the Baltimore Ravens defense, and they got Roquan Smith at about the same point in his first season as the Seahawks acquired Ernest Jones. Lo and behold, it's been like a light switch. The defense has figured things out. We're not saying they're going to, win the last, 6 games of the season. However, they went from down and out at the start of November, at least it seemed that way to some, and they're at the end of November in first place with an opportunity. They control their own destiny. Because they are in first place.
Right.
If they were to win out, which I don't anticipate, they would obviously be in the playoffs, right?
Right.
But you've got, at least at this point, a leg up on the other teams, a tiebreaker with Arizona at this moment. There's a lot to like, and it's because the defense is clicking at this point. You made the move when you had to. You got a guy that, we know what we want to do now. This guy fits it perfectly. They went out and made that trade. So that's a kudos to John Schneider as well to see that, because midseason trades, that's difficult to ask a guy to pick up a whole new scheme midseason.
It's true. And a lot of other guys are playing well in that defense. Big Cat playing fantastically.
Oh, my God. Can we talk about Big Cat?
Can we talk about Big Cat? I mean, we took a little bit this year to get the ball moving there. But, I mean, he is plugging up holes. He is doing some work, honestly. If him and Byron Murphy can just, stabilize, really just keep the ball from going anywhere past them.
Yeah.
And also, this is a really well tackling team. We saw Julian Love make some great tackles this past week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been everywhere. I think the pieces are there. Things are coming together. I just really wish, that the Seahawks on offense specifically stick to the run game. Geno Smith, even if he runs, we know the offensive line.
There was a couple opportunities I wish he took off on
Exactly,
Sunday, yeah.
exactly. And, I feel like he's a quarterback he should throw, right? And, with that being said, the chances to run for a first down. Just do it, by any means necessary. If he can hold on to the ball, I think the Seahawks will probably be, I wouldn't say golden, but at least semi-precious by the end of the year.
The only thing that kind of slightly concerns me with this matchup with the Jets is what Kevin was saying about a team that's hungry.
Right.
That you've got prideful players like Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers. They don't want to just go down like this.
Right.
Right. And hey, we're playing a first-place team. And the Seahawks, like I mentioned, haven't been, even in their nice wins, dominant. It's been, 16-6 wasn't dominant. It wasn't really in hand until Jason Myers hit that field goal, right?
Yeah.
And so, if you let the Jets hang around and not be kind of woe is me and have a chance late, they might capitalize.
Plus, it's on the road, too.
So, yeah, you've got the travel issue. So, to your point earlier, Seahawks got to start fast. I think that's our key to this one. If they can get a healthy lead, and I think they'll be okay.
Right.
If they let the Jets hang around, it doesn't mean that they won't be okay. It just means that they're going to have to find a way to win, as we did see them do.
And the only thing that matters is, there's no style points in football unless you really want to go to Vegas and bet on it.
Yeah.
You just find a way to win, honestly.
Yeah,
by any means necessary at this point. Because this team it's a good team. It can be a better team, obviously. And it's only going to take time as they gel together.
Yeah, so there you go. We made our predictions. We think the Hawks are going to get 3 in a row.
Yep.
And we can, look and see if the rest of the division and what they do. And then you get a rematch down in Arizona. Mike McDonald has been cagey about his answer. Some of the writers, especially when they get in their articles, they can be about a specific play, and that's fun to read, no question. They ask very specific, hey, about this play, that play, and Mike every time was like, guys, we play the Cardinals again on the 8th.
Yeah, we can't say too much.
Yeah. I find it refreshingly honest.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to see there. Before we let everybody go, we do like to do our best bets on the weekend. I'm going to kick us off here. And here's the standpoint that our bets have been a little bit better lately. So I wanted to at least bring it. But with the take it with a grain of salt, take it with the caveat that, gosh, if you're going to bet a lot of money, you probably don't want to listen to me and Najee.
No.
But I will kick us off. I think that here's the thing. I really like what Russell Wilson's doing with the Steelers. I think he's been great. I know that the game they lost the Browns, it was a blizzard. You can't put much stock in that. But I think the Bengals are so dynamic offensively. They've just found ways to lose. I know the Steelers have an excellent defense, no question. But I think this is the game the Bengals break through. They're a 3-point favorite. I think this is the weekend that they finally get that offense going and they figure things out and they cover and get a win.
Well, here's the thing. The Bengals offense has been going, just nothing else has been going for the
that's
Bengals.
That's
the thing. I like to pride myself on picking very tough games. And I'm picking a game that could be a Super Bowl preview. I'm talking about Ravens-Eagles. That would be a fun game. 2 of the best running backs in the league, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, coming head to head. I honestly, the spread right now is 4 points. Or 4-ish points. I think the Eagles will not lose by 4 points. I think it'll be a 1-point game. I think it'll be a 3-point game, in fact, and I would take the Eagles because.
I mean, Najee, you were spot on with your predictions last week. I don't know if we want to doubt you.
I
betting and with the Seahawks.
I wouldn't doubt me, but I wouldn't doubt me at all.
I wouldn't doubt me.
I wouldn't doubt me. No. Because the Eagles are very good and the Ravens are also very good. It'll be a very tight game. It will be close, and that's why I'm saying 4 points is a lot.
I agree with you there. Najee, we have a blast doing the show, don't we?
It's been fun.
I want to give another shout out to my guy Kevin Maher. He's been a mentor of mine for years. It's cool to catch up with him in this perspective. And he had great insight.
Little parenthesis. Kevin did say that Aaron Rodgers would be in New York next year. He didn't say with the Jets.
Yeah, did you notice that?
I did notice that. Go ahead.
Well, see what the Giants hire.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it goes.
I heard Rex wants to throw his hat in the ring.
Hey, throw it.
How's Tommy Cutlets going to handle that?
Hey, listen.
I don't know. But I will say this. I think our Seahawks are going to handle the Jets this weekend. They got to get out to that fast start, like we've said, and we certainly... my gosh, if you win this game, you get a little help elsewhere in the division. The other teams in the division have tough games.
That's true.
Right? I mean, you're talking about some really interesting matchups across the NFC West, and I think that, in the grand scheme of things...
The Niners got the Bills this week.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the Bills are tough.
Yeah.
Cardinals and Vikings.
The Saints can always just bite you. You just never know. Cardinals, Vikings, too, so the Seahawks have the Vikings in a couple weeks, too. So things are happening.
It's going to be a good launch point.
It could be. Some separation will be good.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So here's hoping. Gosh, we had a blast, and we talked about Kobe Quake a minute ago. Check out that story at KOMOnews.com. Kobe Bryant's pick 6 setting off some seismic activity. I got to go one-on-one with Kobe right after that game. Then we caught up with the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network that confirmed to us it was about the equivalent of a 1.0 earthquake.
It's not nothing.
It's not nothing. I felt it in the press box, which compelled me to do that. Marshawn's was closer to like what would be a 1.5, so to speak. They don't like to make that comparison for artificial ones like this because real earthquakes are, miles beneath the surface, so to speak.
Sure.
There's your science lesson.
Just chill louder, you guys.
Well, yeah, jumping. It's the jumping.
It's the jumping.
It's the jumping, according to the Pacific Northwest Science Network. So check that story out at KOMOnews.com. And hey, who knows? Maybe by the time we get the next home game, which is a Sunday nighter with the Packers here in town on the 15th, maybe
game.
Some new seismic records. By fans, anyway, will be set. Otherwise, we hope they don't get set. So, for Najee Moye, I'm Niko Tamurian. This was the KOMO Sports Enzo. One more thanks to Kevin Maher. Download wherever you get your podcast. Check us out on KOMO News YouTube page. Certainly, we love bringing you the show. I'm at the team facility all week, and Najee's in my ear. He's at the games, too. This is a really cool opportunity for us to bring you what we see and bring it to you in this show format. And as we saw last week, there's a reason we bring you what we see, and yes, I'm doing a victory lap for Najee.
And then I'm mostly always right.
But we could be wrong this week, so you can feel free to let us know if we are. Just like if we were wrong last week.
Right.
Hey, listen, we really appreciate everybody's interaction. We talked about those comments. We were joking
Keep
about
commenting.
the Arizona fans.
We love hearing from you.
We love hearing from everybody, and we especially love hearing from the 12s, with the words of encouragement for their favorite team. It's a lot of fun to see. So, without further ado, for Najee, I'm Niko. We'll see you next week on the KOMO Sports End Zone.
Bye-bye.